How do you intend to mitigate this challenge that we have in this country?
You know, Senator, I'm glad you raised this, because whether it was the issue of infant formula or whether it was the winter flu, we are seeing that in so many cases, the industries that we count on to provide us effective medications aren't ready for disruptions, for a broadside. That's because we've gotten into a system where these industries, to save money, and they're entitled to try to save money, have gone towards a supply chain methodology that essentially says we're going to keep in inventory only the stock that we need immediately. And if all of a sudden you have a major increase in demand, you can't meet it. Or if something happens with a manufacturer who has to go down because there is an issue of safety or cleanliness, then all of a sudden the supply goes down and they're not ready to meet the need. And so what we have done is we've begun to do more surveillance over how these private sector industries are handling their supply. We don't regulate that supply, but we want to have more eyes on it so we can make sure they're preparing for that broadside that might come. We're also trying to make sure we help them mitigate any supply chain interruption. So if they get some of their material for their product from overseas, some country, we want to make sure there's not going to be a disruption, whether politically based or supply based, that keeps them from being able to produce. So we'll work with you because this is a big issue.
Well, as we saw for the pharmaceutical industry, how they manipulated a market for profits for insulin, the same thing's happening on less expensive drugs, where they're changing their production capacities in order to maximize their profits, which we understand. But since we are the largest payer for these services, it seems to me we can have a stronger impact on their decision making.
We'll look forward to working with you on that.
As you know, oral health is closely tied to physical health. The final calendar 23 fiscal fee schedule rule expanded dental services tied to medically necessary conditions, which means that these services will now be covered under Medicare beneficiaries. That's a step in the right direction. But as you and I know, we have major gaps in both the Medicaid and Medicare programs in regards to coverage for oral health and dental services, particularly in the underserved communities. They are particularly vulnerable.
Friends, it is happening right now. Several lawmakers are supporting guaranteed monthly checks for low-income households and their families. A new plan, including monthly stimulus checks worth thousands of dollars, may be signed into law very soon. Provisions of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act are also now being put into action. My dearest friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video. Also, this coming Friday, I will be announcing more winners for the $75 Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter these weekly giveaways, all you have to do, friends, is click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. My dearest friends, the more videos that you watch and then comment on, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. In 2021, Congress passed the landmark American Rescue Plan, signed into law by President Biden. Among other policies, the bill dramatically expanded the child tax credit up to $3,600 for children under the age of 6 and $3,000 for children between the ages of 6 and 17. These payments represented the biggest anti-poverty initiatives in a generation. And as a result of the expanded child tax credit, stimulus checks during the crisis, and expanded unemployment assistance, childhood poverty hit a historic low in 2021. In Minnesota's 5th District, the federal tax credit benefited nearly 70,000 families, including more than 80% of children in the district. Facing opposition from Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to the Build Back Better Act, Congress was unable to make these reforms permanent and propelled 3.7 million U.S. children across our country back into poverty. But now, Minnesota is taking action. Governor Tim Walz just laid out a bold vision that includes direct stimulus checks, expands affordable childcare options, and boost K-12 funding. The governor's budget is paving the way to make Minnesota the best state in America to raise children. They have taken tremendous steps to lift up families and improve the communities. But what's very exciting is a dramatically expanded child tax credit for families in the state. Under this proposal, families earning less than $50,000 would be provided $1,000 per child through the state child tax credit, regardless of their tax liability. The checks are estimated to benefit 2.5 million Minnesota families, totaling $3.9 billion. Families could start receiving the checks in early fall. The plan also expands the Child Independent Care Credit to help families afford child care. Families would receive up to $4,000 per child under the age of 5, with a maximum of $10,500 for child care expenses. And parents with older children would qualify for a smaller credit. According to advocacy groups, in the face of record inequality, Congress needs a plan to provide an income floor for everyone. Representative Omar said she will keep pushing for measures like guaranteed income through legislative proposals like the SUPPORT Act. It is to send $1,200 per month for every adult and $600 per month for every child through the local government in cash payments. The cash payments will be provided over a 5-year period. It may soon also be tougher for consumers to receive a $7,500 federal tax credit when buying a new electric vehicle due to U.S. Department of Treasury rules set to take effect in about 1 week. But there is good news for prospective buyers. Tax experts say that those willing to buy a used electric vehicle or lease a new one may qualify for separate tax breaks that are generally easier to claim. The Inflation Reduction Act, which President Biden signed in August, set various manufacturing requirements for new all-electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles to be able to qualify for the full $7,500 tax credit. According to the U.S. Treasury Department, the final 2 requirements, which apply to the sourcing of car battery components and critical minerals, will kick in on April 18th and phase in over a few years. Lawmakers aim to encourage car makers to build batteries with domestic supply chains instead of relying on countries for essential parts. But in the short term, though, it is expected that the current list of cars that qualify for the $7,500 credit will fall in number, at least until manufacturers are able to meet the new battery rules. The Internal Revenue Service will update that list of qualifying electric vehicles on April 17th. On that day, the cars that currently qualify for a tax break may be associated with a smaller tax credit or none at all, perhaps just temporarily. The Inflation Reduction Act also created a tax credit for consumers who buy used electric or fuel cell vehicles. The tax breaks for used cars, which took effect in 2023, is worth $4,000 or 30% of the sales price, whichever is less. Well, my magnificent and most marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this Monday. Thank you, dear friends, for being part of this community and for being here every single day. I will be announcing several winners this coming Friday for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter the giveaway, friends, all you have to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways.